welcome to Fight News Now. I'm John Pollock, along with John Randine and Robin Black. It's been quite a long time since we have discussed, and we're going to pick up exactly where we left off. Rafael dos Anjos in 66 seconds gets it done over Donald Cerrone. That's how much mixed martial arts news and fights occur when we take a break.
Yeah, it's true, and we got to marvel at that performance. Very, very impressive considering Donald Cerrone was on a roll. So Rafael dos Anjos kind of letting the 155-pound division know that, you know, what wasn't a fluke that I defeated Anthony Pettis and that I defeated Donald Cerrone the first time, or that I managed to stop Ben Henderson. The guys coming out of King's MMA proving to be a force. Are we going to see the same thing when Fabricio Werdum has his rematch with Cain Velasquez?
I think Santa could take Werdum.
Santa
got me this cool sweater.
And Santa at elevation, though?
Yeah, elevation Santa. That is the question on that fight. You know, is if Cain Velasquez was better, you know, let's phrase it perfectly. If Cain Velasquez was in better shape and better prepared, he would have won that fight. Why are we making that a thing? That's on Cain Velasquez. Mm-hmm. Oh, well, it would be different.
It's like saying if Fabricio Werdum were in bad shape, he wouldn't have won that fight.
Exactly. Like, none of this makes any sense to make that as an excuse. If you failed to perform well because of something you failed to do, that's on you. I'm the biggest Cain Velasquez nut hugger going. I love Cain Velasquez. I'm a huge fan. I've loved watching the guy fight. But that fight is entirely on him. You can't make excuses for a guy because he didn't show up in shape.
But what if he rectifies that? The next fight not happening in elevation, if he says, okay, let's just say it was happening in Mexico again, and that he goes to Mexico early and gets acclimated. He does exactly what he needs to do to perform like the Cain Velasquez we've seen, a cardio machine who constantly pressures his opponent. Based on that, do you expect to see something different in this rematch?
Cain Velasquez, the cardio machine who's all about pressure and drive, became or becomes Cain Velasquez, the cardio machine, because he outworks everybody. He outworks every opponent. He didn't outwork Werdum last time. He didn't outwork him. It doesn't matter whether that outworking took place at elevation where you need to do it, or any amount of other preparation you failed to do. He failed to do it. Will this time he go back to being the guy who outworks everybody? That remains to be seen. If he does, he can beat any heavyweight in the world. But only he knows right now if he's doing everything that he is used to doing, if he's outworking everybody. Because if he hasn't, in that first 2 or 3 or 4 minutes where instead of being Cain Velasquez who feels the other guy fade, gets that familiar feeling that he got in Mexico, oh man, I didn't outwork everybody again. And if he did, we'll never see him the champ again.
Over the holiday break, the most fighting that has been going on has been over in Japan. By the time, well, at least that we're recording this, night 2 has not occurred, but night 1 has. And just seeing the presentation, certainly if the idea was finding the next big Japanese star, I don't know if this necessarily is leading that direction, but it seems the Russian prospects are what are fueling whatever this promotion is. And it was also headlined by Shinya Aoki defeating Kazushi Sakuraba in one of the saddest fights you're ever going to see. I mean, it was pretty hard to watch that main event.
Yeah, and again, I'm not going to pretend that I'm a Shinya Aoki fan. If all you have to do is look back at his history, at some of the things and the shenanigans he's done, I just don't understand why he would need to take a fight like this. You know, he is a huge star in Japan. He's a specialist. I think if you're a hardcore fan of mixed martial arts, you know who this guy is. He's been around the scene for a long time. I just don't see the benefit of taking this fight with Sakuraba. And Sakuraba, one of the legends of mixed martial arts.
I think that's on the matchmakers, though. This was the marquee fight, especially for that first night.
Is it really? Like, you couldn't have had Sakuraba against somebody in his mid-40s and Shinya Aoki matched up against somebody who's closer to their prime. Instead, you got this absolute domination. There's no way Sakuraba was going to escape. And both, you have to, again, I understand Shinya Aoki signs on the dotted line. Sakuraba signs on the dotted line. They're in there for combat. Should be the referee's responsibility after all that stuff is dealt with.
During that fight?
Yeah, exactly. That's the problem. Disgusting display. And this is the thing that makes you very sad about mixed martial arts when you see stuff like this. But it's typical. This is what the Japanese promotions and the Japanese fans have done to Sakuraba. He's the guy that can get the shit kicked out of him. All you have to do is look back at Pride and look at some of the fights he's gone through. Ricardo Arona being one of those fights where Sakuraba's like growing horns. So just a disgusting display. And it's stuff like this, I don't want to tune into it, but I have no choice.
I didn't watch it, and I'm not going to watch it. And there was only 2 possible things that were happening in this fight. He was going to get murdered by Shinya Aoki, or it was going to be a work.
I was hoping for that.
And and it's not awful to say. You were hoping that it wasn't a real fight. Neither one I wanted to see, and I'm not going to watch it. It doesn't make any sense for a 46-year-old guy who's probably not really training that much, whose whole
looked broken.
Yeah, and his whole if all you have left is I can take a beating better than other people. If people want to watch that, they can, but I don't want to watch that.
It seems that RIZIN, it's very much in kind of an older version of what mixed martial arts, that's what they're trying to be at least. I mean, if you're watching with 2015 eyes and you're aware of head trauma, and even looking at the idea that we're going to have a tournament where guys are going to fight one night and then come back 2 nights later and have to fight. I mean, Robin, have you ever woken up the day after a fight thinking, hey, I could do this again tomorrow? Not much, and perhaps 2 times the next day.
It's probably even worse a day or 2 later
Rather
than it
than
is
all
on
in
a
one
one night, and I'm not for those. I understand fighters want to do that, but I mean, there's a mandatory 14 days, no contact in most states, in most sane states. You get in there, you throw 1 leg kick, and the guy falls down. 14 days because of the preparation, what you put your body through, the weight cutting, all of that kind of stuff. It's not good. I mean, and I get it. Bro, I was 4 in the morning, I had my coffee and my beer, and I was ready to watch some fighting. I get that. We all feel that. But we move on for a reason, you know, and things evolve for a reason. You got to protect these guys. You can't let them go get taken head trauma like that, and you can't let a legend like Sakuraba take that kind of a beating.
Last thing, and we'll talk about this more in tomorrow's chat, but UFC 195 is coming up this weekend. The UFC kicks off their pay-per-view for the new year with Robbie Lawler and Carlos Condit for the welterweight title. Do you feel that this card in any way has kind of been overlooked just because of all that they presented in December, and it's just a card that you look on paper, some great fights, but I don't know if it really has that spotlight.
It was December and November because, you know, with the whole Ronda and Holly thing, and then the whole situation with Conor, you're talking about 2 of their biggest stars having, you know, 2 of their biggest performances or lack of, you know, at the end of this year. So again, Robbie Lawler and Carlos Condit, they're hardcore type of fighters, and you know, because they've been around the game for so long, and you got to see their evolution. So I think a lot of the hardcore fans are going to tune into this fight. They're going to be excited about this fight, and then you throw in the heavyweights as well. You have Andrei Arlovski on there and Stipe Miocic, a fight that impacts the heavyweight rankings. I think. You know, yes, everybody's still going to be talking about Conor and maybe Holly Holm, but I think people, if they're real fight fans, are going to be tuning in.
If it's just a great fight you want to see, if it's just brilliant combat, this is the fight. I mean, and we'll talk about it way more tomorrow, but Robbie Lawler, it's like he's using maces and hammers, bludgeoning weapons, and Condit's using slicing, arcing weapons. It's going to be amazing.
We'll have lots on UFC 195, including our live pre-fight show coming up Saturday night, 7 p.m. Eastern Time, with a detailed breakdown of Robbie Lawler, Carlos Condit, and all of the main card fights here on Fight Network.